All right. Elic Ayomanor.
Yep.
Stanford wide receiver, 6'1" 3/4", 206 pounds, 10-inch hands. He's 21 years old. He'll be 22 in June. He ran a 4.44 in the 40 at the combine, 1.58 on the 10-yard split, 127-inch broad jump, 38.5-inch vertical. Last year at Stanford, in 12 games, he had 63. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic here. 63 receptions, 831 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns, and he did that on 109 targets, and he was credited with 6 drops.
Good combine numbers.
Say it, Rich. Say it.
Canadian.
There it is. There it is.
Did you know? I didn't even know this existed. There's a top Canadian college ball award called the John Cornish Trophy. He won in 23.
What is it? It's
the John Cornish Trophy.
It's for the top Canadian
that plays college football.
In like American college football, they give this out to the top Canadian.
Never knew existed.
Amazing.
Yeah, John Cornish Trophy. He's Canadian.
Do you think they're going to throw a tariff on that? Sorry.
For all future Canadians, beware. Sorry. The price of tuition just went up.
I could not resist.
Amazing. So with Elic here, he's an interesting prospect to kind of watch. He really broke out in 2023. He had a monster game against Colorado, 13 receptions, 294 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns that led them to an overtime victory over a Colorado team that was really on the rise at the time.
Versus Travis Hunter.
And Travis Hunter's on that team. Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of what put him on the map, and he started to become real popular in Devy circles and, NFL draft talk and whatnot.
But it's kind of like Greenland, where it's like way bigger than it really is.
Kind of like that. Because other than that game,
this show just got real political.
It really did.
On accident.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I'm just talking about how like Greenland, if you look at a map, Greenland's so big, but in reality, it's not that big at all.
It just gets stretched because it's up
small.
there.
Stretched.
But if you look at his numbers this year, that seemed to be more of a blip on the radar.
Very Greenland.
More than something to project going forward, because this year with only 800 yards, and he didn't have a lot of big games against big time opponents. A lot of the bigger games, the ranked teams, you see the Notre Dame's 3 catches for 16 yards, Clemson 4 for 50, SMU 4 for 55. Like he had a magic moment in that night where he didn't have a single catch at halftime and then 11 in the second half, and he just did everything to crush the Buffaloes. And then just it was kind of that one moment where he drank Mike's magic stuff and secret stuff, and then it was all gone. Watching his tape, I didn't see anything to me that stood out as a guy like, yes, I really need this guy. He got a 64.4 for me, which is not super great. He had a pretty good release at the line, which I think was one of his better attributes. But overall, I think his route running was fine. He had okay hands, but he had some issues as well there where
he's real inconsistent in everything. So his routes at times will look great, but at other times you're just like, "What, dude? What was that? Like, what?"
He'll make acrobatic catches and then drop
them. Yeah. Yes. So he is very hard to nail down in a lot of ways because his good is pretty good. It's not excellent, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And the other stuff, it just looks like it's barely passable.
And the hard part for me too was he was one of those players that at times felt a little bit out of control, and that's a big thing for me. Like, body control, we had somebody kind of look at our nerd score, and specifically at wide receiver, things that we would equate to ball skills. And so there was a few different things, but one of the biggest parts of that was body control. Yeah. And that tended to score really highly. The guys with the highest body control tended to be some of the highest scorers on the year for fantasy points. And he actually has one of the lowest scores in the class for me, which is concerning, especially for a big guy with, the limbs everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Like, I just don't know if there is enough refinement and skill to his game.
It's almost like
next level.
It's almost like watching a dancer. You know what I mean? Like, you can see when somebody is coordinated and they everything is moving in perfect concert and going together.
Yes.
And you can tell when people just don't have rhythm.
Yeah.
And maybe he just doesn't have rhythm. You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't have that in him.
Yep.
His technique's off.
It does feel that way.
Well, there was another, like, The one I can't remember what game it was, but he made a fantastic acrobatic catch where he's like contorting his body.
Yes.
But it was like once. I saw it once, and then everything else was bad. I had that same. I was like, body control is an issue. Like he's really consistent, but mostly it's just bad. So it's another ding where it's like the good. I saw something fantastic.
There's flashes.
It was one play though. Like, dude, come on. Like, I just need more. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to envision this guy being anything just because there's so much work to do. He is young. I mean, he's 21, which is nice, but I just don't know. And he's got good size. You know, he's got good, like, this is the kind of guy you want to be good, but I just don't think he's got the right movement skills to do it.
Yep. Yeah. So for me watching Elic, I'll kind of like come back on top of whatever thing you guys said. I agree with everything you guys said. I was a little bit more impressed with the good that I saw at times. You know, like you said, the way he got off his line, the way he gets into a stem very quickly is nice. I love the fact that he is young. I love his size. I hate his technique. I hate his lack of burst. I hate that everything seems like it's laboring.
I thought he struggled tracking the ball deep as well.
He 100% struggled tracking the ball deep. It's like
one of the lowest ball tracking scores for me as well.
Like looking left, looking right, looking left, and then the ball's way right. You're like, dude, come on.
I don't think his quarterback was great, so I don't think it
does not
helped.
help.
It doesn't help. So,
but you can still there's guys that can kind of overcome that, and you know, like a Travis Hunter, for instance, if it's not in the perfect position, he has the body control to kind of make up for it. I don't think Elic does. Sorry.
So I think with him is, and the good news is he's young enough. So when you draft him later, like he's probably, you know, like late third, maybe probably early fourth round rookie pick for me, right around there, because I wouldn't mind gambling on Elic, definitely in this receiver class. If I need receiver, like out of all these other guys we're going to talk about, he's like he's one of the three guys I'm willing to gamble on, probably like late. Like he's on my board, but he's at the bottom of the board because I think if he can end up in the right offense with some good coaching and work on some things, he has enough of a skill set where, like, he's more likely the wide receiver 3 on a team, ceiling most likely. But if somehow he could find his way and work into it and become a wide receiver 2 and see the targets, I think he could be fantasy relevant, turn into a low end wide receiver 3.
What's his name from Texas? Jordan Whittingham?
Whittington?
Yeah.
Whittington. Thank you.
The Rams?
Yeah. The guy I didn't see much promise in, but went to a great situation, went to the Rams where they kind of know how to use those kind of guys, and had some success in his rookie season. If he falls into that kind of situation where he's
a little more interested.
Yeah, a little bit more interested. But
if he goes to Baltimore, then, you know,
R.I.P. He's dead to me. Yes, I mean.
The hard part for me is with a lot of these guys that we're going to talk about is I think, do I want them more than Jordan James? Than Jaden Blue, than Jarquez Hunter, than Montrell Johnson, and that's the hard part is like you're gonna have to take them in like even the late third round. Those are the kind of guys that are gonna be available.
That's why he's probably more like a mid fourth than the fifth guy. You know what I mean? For that. So and you're right. And I think you and I were talking about it in the beginning of the show. It's like, man, I have Elic on my board, but he's in the tier after all those running backs you name. And I was like, what's funny is like I have all the running backs I like in that big group of like. I call it my fourth tier essentially. Okay. So I have like the Jaden Blues.
You have like 7 or 8 guys in that tier.
A lot, right? Yeah. Jarquez Hunter's in that tier. Like I have a lot of those guys. Like Travis Etienne, I think is in that tier.
Trevor,
Trevor Etienne. So that tier is really big. The next tier I have.
I don't know. Travis might be in that one. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, I have another receiver we're going to talk about tonight here, and I have Elic in that tier. Like so, I have Daniel Jackson in Minnesota, the wide receiver I like in the tier above him.
Gotcha.
But all the running backs I don't have in there, like I have Montrell Johnson in there. He makes Jalen Royals look like a stud. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Antonio Brown, Brashard Smith, RJ Harvey, DJ Giddens, all those guys are in a tier above them. So all those other running backs I think are just like, okay, and draft capital doesn't help. They're going to be in this tier with him, and they're all going to jump him.
Yeah.
There'll be quarterbacks that are probably going to get okay capital that will probably jump
third
in.
and fourth round guy.
Tight ends will enter this tier as well. They have long-term upside. So
definitely.
He's on my board. And you're right. When it's all said and done, he might probably end up slipping because we have a lot of other receivers to talk about as well.
Yep.
He'll probably end up being like a 5th round rookie pick. But I at least
there was enough of a glimpse for you.
Enough of a glimpse for me where he's on my board. And I think if he turned it, like, I love the Winningham. If you say it's like that makes more sense. Which again, I kind of said this before the show as well. Like I've had a tough time with this receiver class because there's a lot of guys who are just pretty much off my board. We're going to talk about here, and over the years, been so many guys like these slot guys are like, oh, these guys are promising. Like a Scotty Miller, you know, coming out of Cincinnati, like, ooh, he's promising. He goes to Bears, like, ooh, it's a good spot for him.
Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, like these guys that you kind of do, so oh, this could kind of work out, and they never do. You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of hard to see a guy like Elic really find fantasy success at the next level. But compared to some of these other guys, I just want to say, at least he's on my board.
At least he's on the board.